the clash of two eras separated by centuries. On one side, medieval Europe, knights in shining armor, castles standing tall, and armies wielding swords, pikes, and longbows. On the other, a modern armored battalion, complete with main battle tanks, infantry fighting vehicles, and support units. What happens when 21st century firepower collides with the medieval battlefield? Let's dive into this alternate history scenario. The setup. We'll drop a fully equipped modern tank battalion, around 50 to 60 main battle tanks, supported by armored vehicles, logistics trucks, engineers, and a few reconnaissance drones, into 13th century Europe. The exact location? Let's say northern France, right in the middle of a turbulent feudal war between rival lords. This isn't just one or two tanks rolling into a village. We're talking a coordinated armored strike force, commanded by professional officers with modern training and doctrine. They have their fuel, their ammo, and their logistics system intact. But here's the catch. They are cut off from modern reinforcements. What they bring with them is all they get. The medieval world. Medieval Europe was no stranger to war. The knight was king of the battlefield, clad in steel plate, riding a destrier, and backed by retinues of men-at-arms. Armies often numbered in the thousands, ranging from feudal levies with spears and axes to professional mercenaries with crossbows. But castles were the ultimate defensive structure. Thick stone walls, fortified gates, and defensive positions made them extremely difficult for medieval besiegers to conquer. It often took months or even years of siege warfare to bring down a fortress. Now drop in a modern armored battalion with 120-meter smoothbore cannons, heavy machine guns, and GPS-guided targeting systems. Suddenly, those stone walls don't look so invincible. First contact. The first encounter is brutal. A medieval lord hears rumors of iron beasts moving through the countryside. Scouts ride out to investigate, only to never return. A formation of knights then attempts to intercept what they believe to be some kind of war wagons. But this is no ordinary caravan. As the knights charge, lances leveled, they're met with the deafening thunder of tank cannons and bursts of heavy machine gun fire. In seconds, an entire mounted charge, something that once terrified peasants and rival armies alike, is reduced to ruin. The shock factor alone is immense. To the medieval mind, these machines are monsters of iron and fire. Rumors would spread instantly. Demons, dragons, or even divine punishment sent from heaven. Tactical overmatch. The tank battalion doesn't just win battles, it dominates them. Longbows versus tanks? Useless. Arrows bounce off armor plating. Siege engines, catapults, and trebuchets can't penetrate modern composite armor. Cavalry charges, suicide missions. Horses will never close the distance. A single tank can destroy hundreds of medieval soldiers in minutes. Multiply that by dozens of tanks, with modern coordination, satellite mapping, and thermal optics, and the medieval battlefield collapses. But it's not just raw firepower. Tanks are backed by support vehicles. Engineers can build temporary bridges across rivers, drones can scout from above, and infantry fighting vehicles can deliver mechanized infantry who are armed with automatic rifles. To medieval armies, this would look like an unstoppable force of sorcery and steel. Castles versus tanks. Castles, the backbone of medieval defense, stand no chance. A tank battalion can roll up, position artillery and tank cannons, and begin a direct fire assault. Medieval walls, designed to resist stones and battering rams, would crumble under modern high-explosive shells. A gate reinforced with iron, blown apart in seconds. Towers meant to intimidate, flattened like sandcastles. Sieges that would normally last years could be resolved in under an hour. But there's a problem. Logistics. The fuel problem tanks are powerful, but they're also hungry. A single main battle tank can burn through hundreds of liters of fuel per day. Without a supply line, that armored battalion is living on borrowed time. At first, they dominate the battlefield, crushing any medieval army in their path. But after weeks of combat, fuel reserves start running low. Suddenly, those unstoppable machines become immobile fortresses, giant metal statues stranded in a hostile land. And medieval Europe was not ready to refine diesel or jet fuel. The battalion could try to secure resources, but even with 21st century knowledge, producing the necessary fuel with 13th century technology is nearly impossible. This is where things get interesting. Psychological shockwave. Even before the tanks run low on resources, their impact on medieval society would be apocalyptic. Entire kingdoms could collapse overnight. Feudal lords who relied on fear and intimidation would suddenly be powerless. Peasants would worship or fear the battalion as gods. Religious authorities might see them as angels or demons, sparking mass hysteria and upheaval. Europe could fracture into chaos as rulers either submit, rebel, or desperately try to ally with the armored invaders. At first, the modern tank battalion's dominance seems absolute. No medieval army can match their speed, firepower, or technology. Entire kingdoms bow in fear, castles crumble in hours, and knights become relics overnight. But the greatest enemy isn't Europe, it's time. Fuel and spare parts run out. Tanks that once roared across battlefields become motionless fortresses. Without resupply, their technological edge fades. The commanders face a brutal choice: consolidate power while they still can, or attempt to adapt. Some vehicles are hidden inside captured castles, turned into immovable artillery pieces. Others are cannibalized for parts, keeping a few operational for key battles. Infantry soldiers, still armed with modern rifles, retain dominance, but ammunition is finite. Every bullet fired is one less for the future. The psychological impact, however, lingers long after the machines fall silent. Medieval Europe would never be the same. Survivors would tell stories of iron dragons that spat fire, rewriting myths and shaking faith in the old order. In the end, the tank battalion cannot conquer all of Europe forever. But in just a few months, they would shatter kingdoms, inspire legends, and leave scars that could echo for centuries.